Hello, my angels and devils, and all who may wonder here. I'm Amanda Christina. This is Heavenly Imaginings, and I've seen this going around lots. I've watched lots of people's, and I don't know if I've been tagged in any because I haven't seen everybody's, but I thought I would give the 10 crafty questions a go. And before I get into it, I am going to tag Alexis and Melinda's art space. Yes, you, Melinda, I know you're busy, but I'm sure you can figure this out. My sister, Artie Crafty Alchemy, and Crafty Kylie, because I don't think they have done it yet, and I always like to hear from my Aussie crafty friends. So my name is Amanda Christina Montgomery if you want to be full on, but I don't really use my surname much, and that's a whole other story which is really not worth getting into here. It's kind of depressing and just family crud, really. Amanda Christina is the name I have had since birth. I was put up for adoption at age 3, so it is the one name I've had with me for my entire life. Okay, so my YouTube name is Heavenly Imaginings. Now, how Heavenly Imaginings came about is kind of a long story. For those who don't know, in Australia we have something called Work for the Dole, which is working for your unemployment payments. And I was in a class with someone who used to do marketing, and he was our tutor. And I used to use the name Soul Star Creations for sort of an umbrella, and I made bears and did psychic readings and stuff. So basically, we did this thing which is called juxtaposition, where it's a market. We did a marketing exercise using juxtaposition, which is finding alternative words to those words, and it distills down. And eventually, we got Heavenly Imaginings, and I really liked it, and that's the one that stuck. So now I am Heavenly Imaginings everywhere. I often get called Heavenly, and if that is not a great thing, I don't know what is. So that is how I came by my YouTube name, which is I had my Etsy store named Heavenly Imaginings. I was using Heavenly Imagine on Twitter because I can't do the INGS because it's too much. And I have Heavenly Imaginings pretty much on all my social media, so that is why Heavenly Imaginings. And it kind of suits. It's I don't know. I'm a little bit spiritual. I'm crafty. I'm full of imagination, so I guess it works for me. I don't know. It's been quite a long time. I don't know. Yeah, I honestly don't know what username I would pick now. Other than that, that just seems to suit everything that I've done. Favorite craft? It changes. It fluctuates. I have bipolar 2, so for me, it really depends on my mood. I've done everything from artist original bear making, which I absolutely love and would love to get back into doing more of. I have a whole set of drawers just dedicated to fabrics and bear making stuff. I have a whole drawer of mohair, which is just bear fur, and it's expensive stuff. Like, it's so expensive now. I cannot get over how expensive mohair has got. Like, it was never cheap, but it has gotten really expensive. So I'm really glad I have a nice little stockpile to play with. I dabble in making hair bows and hair accessories, bro ties, which is like ribbon bow ties. Mixed media I've dabbled in a little bit. I haven't done much mixed media in the last year or so, just with the last couple of years, just with health and stuff. I've found it harder to sit and craft. So I guess the reason I've been so good at crafting in hospital is that I had gotten used to teaching myself to craft in bed at home. And in bed, you don't want to spill ink and paint and stuff everywhere. Although I have had those instances, but we won't talk about that. I think paper crafts, I really love paper crafts in general just because there is such a wide variety of things that encompasses now, and that can be mixed media, it can be making 3D project, it can be paper engineering when you make mini albums. There are just so many little aspects and things that you can do, and I love when I can design a project that's just something that it may have elements that I've picked up from other people, but absolutely love it when I create something and I can see things that are just uniquely mine. That to me is just, there's nothing more exciting and thrilling than, doing a mini album or something and seeing how unique some of the little elements are, just very you. And some of the design, like I've got some page designs and that I know are very sort of Heavenly Imaginings, and that makes me really happy to have something that's a little bit unique. Favorite channels, this is really hard. I'd have to say Rosa Kelly, because she got me into mini albums and her tutorials are very easy to follow. I love my Aussie girls, Wendy Mason for her mixed media and stuff. Wendy's mind is just mind blowing. The way she creates and the way she thinks, like just all the things she comes up with. Always Bonnie and Clive, because Bonnie with her, she does not buy craft supplies. She recycles everything. She either goes to secondhand stores, reverse cycle garbage, or she rescues it or she reuses, and just the amount of stuff she does, it's just, she makes the most amazing journals, and she doesn't buy stuff like we do. Like, she doesn't go and buy expensive stuff unless it's at an op shop. It's not in her stash, and it's just so amazing to see. And I absolutely love that kind of aesthetic, that she's not contributing more waste, she's actually reducing the waste of the world. My sister, of course, Artie Crafty Alchemy, can't go by this. For Disney, Mr. Cheesy Pop, who I absolutely adore, and My Moments with Mum, who are a mother-daughter team in the USA, who, if you're looking for something just purely delightful to watch, watch Max, watch My Moments with Mum. You cannot walk away from their videos without smiling. Oh gosh, Cornflower Crafts is another one. I love her, and Handsome Assistant and Beautiful Assistant, her daughter. Just, they have so much fun, and there's just such joy and such beauty. And Corn's southern accent is just so beautiful, and she's such a lovely human. I am just getting into Wagman 510. Alicia is incredible. Just has the most amazing kindness and light inside of her, and that's just, yeah. She did a shout out for me recently, and I still feel like that she must have been talking about someone else, because I never feel like, anything I do is that big a deal, I guess. But yes, so there's so many people. I could go on and on and on. Love Letter Generation, I love. Oh my gosh, she does the most amazing happy mails, and every little detail is just amazing, and there is so much love and care and energy poured into even just the wrapping and the things that might get thrown away, but it's just all so beautiful. And oh, I just aspire to send parcels that beautiful. So it really depends. There's a lot of people. Favorite colors, I love a lot of different colors. It will depend on my mood. I am not a fan of fluoros or super bold bright colors. It depends, but then again, I do like my dual tones. So I'm a walking contradiction with colors. I love pinks and purples, and I'm a girly girl, but I'm also like, I love vintage. My favorite Tim Holtz color are Stormy Sky, Chip Sapphire, and Vintage Velvet. So that, I don't know if that helps or not, but Stormy Sky and Vintage Velvet are probably my two favorite Tim Holtz distress colors. My favorite tool, hands down, scoreboard. The day I got my scoreboard was the best day of my life. That tool, there is very rarely a project that I do not use my scoreboard on. In here, I have a trim and scoreboard now, which is another story which I'll talk about in another video. But yes, so my scoreboard, hands down, the one thing I could not live without. I'm devastated. I love the We Are Memory Keepers score and punch boards and stuff. Like, they're one of my favorite things to get. I'm devastated. My mini envelope punch board fell off a table here, and the punch part fell apart. It still works, but it's just almost impossible to use, and it just broke my heart, because that was one of my favorite things. Anyone who knows me knows I love miniature things, and I've only had that punch board for less than a year, and so it hurt when it broke. Where did I get my love of crafting from? I really couldn't tell you. One of my earliest memories is as a small child being at my grandmother's house, just playing and trying to make a pirate hat for my doll, and ending up covering it with cellophane, which, back in the day, I'm a child of the 80s, there wasn't a huge array of craft materials for kids then. So it would have just been whatever I could have scrounged up at Nan's house. So it was cardboard and wrapping it in cellophane, and it didn't quite look like a pirate's hat, but turned it upside down, and it was a cradle, and it just made me so happy. And I've always been that. In primary school, I was always happiest in the art room when we finally got one, and could be found in the art room or the library in my morning tea and lunch breaks, either helping clean up the art room or reading books. They were my two favourite places always. So, yeah, it's always been something there. In my teenage years, my mother and I went and did a folk art course together, when I was in year 7. and I used to do bits of that at boarding school. I remember sitting around sewing little hat pins that we'd done a big faux cut one, and I'd sort of just made up how to do it as a little brooch, and I would always have some little project that I was trying to do, just because I needed to do something. And it's only since finding out that I have bipolar 2 that I've realized that part of that, one, it's anxiety, like I need to have something in my hands. Like often if I'm able to be prepared, I will take like flowers to sew or my little flower loom or something, just to have something to do with my hands when I'm waiting, because I get it helps with the anxiety. And I just need that something to do. Before I sort of really discovered lots of crafting, I did try embossing once because I got a set, and I used to do it over a toaster and over a candle. And people, like when I first started getting into more paper crafting, people were absolutely gobsmacked that I would literally emboss over a candle. They were like, don't you worry about it catching fire. And I've never had that issue of it catching fire or getting a burnt look until people started saying to me, you should be really worried about that. And then I'd worry about it, and of course it happened. I did flower pots at one point. I used to do like a tie-dye effect using acrylic paints. I painted statues because I originally, when I was about 16, we went to Australia's Wonderland, which used to be a theme park here in Sydney, and they had a plaster painting hut, and a friend and I, that's where we spent our time. We didn't care about the rides or anything else. We just spent the rest of our day there and let the boys go off and ride all the scary rides. And we had so much fun. And she had a shop at Yaguna, and I ended up working there for a while. So I ended up painting like big wizards and things like that. And then once sort of I moved away from that, our cheap sort of, not dollar stores because nothing's ever $1, but used to have like $2 and up statues of like little wizards and stuff, and I would buy acrylic paint and I would repaint them to look a lot better than they were. I don't think I could do that level of detail anymore that I used to do. So I've always had something crafty there, even if it's just in the background. I've always had that need to create. As I started getting more into paper crafting and into bear making and stuff, it became something where I tried to include it every day. Creativity is a muscle. The more you use it, the more you the more it grows, the more your imagination grows, the more you actually can use it. I find you'll always know I'm doing very badly when I'm not creating, although it does seem like in here I am creating fast. I didn't put up videos of what I was creating for quite a while, so you'll notice that the projects are slowing down. I try and do something, I try and aim to have like a little project each day, but some things take longer. It just depends. I've sort of probably got enough stuff for staff and that, so I've started working on some like little flat mail ideas, and I really want to try doing some things. So yeah, so I don't know where my crafting comes from. I know my sister is very creative, so it may be a gene in the family, but it's just always been there. When did I start crafting? From the time I was a child, very small child. I couldn't even tell you when, because as I said again, it's something that's always been with me. What has been my favourite craft so far? Honestly, I think paper crafts. I think because there's such variety and because there's so much to choose from, I think that's what it is. Like, I love bear making, I love bow making for the different challenges that they present. And I just love playing with new things. I like trying new things, but I have to say, I've been on such a mini album kick, and I'm just starting to get into journals. So that's sort of, I love that paper crafting you can start in one place and you can end up in somewhere completely different, and then you can do a 360 and come back to things that you learnt here that are relevant to here. It's just such a wonderful thing. So I think paper crafting in general, just because there is so much that encompasses, and for someone who is like me, who's bipolar 2, who can't always settle into one thing or is always chopping and changing, it actually helps. So I hope you enjoyed my answers to these. As I said, I don't know if anyone tagged me. I really don't think they did, but I decided to do it anyway and tag Alexis from Melinda's Art Space, my sister Artie Crafty Alchemy. Yes, you know who you are. I know you're not making videos at the moment, so don't rush, but yes, I think you should do this one too. And Crafty Kylie. Anyway, I will talk to you all soon, my angels and devils. Thank you so much for watching. I will leave a copy of the questions below in case if you watch this and you want to answer them, go ahead. I just kind of snuck in because everyone had been doing it lately, and I thought I'd do some face videos today, so I thought this would be a good one to do. Anyway, as always, please remember you are amazing. You are incredible. And yes, no, say it with more conviction, please. Yes, you truly do matter. Bye all.